I can never escape him, and I never will. Good morning, after evening, my beautiful people. My name is All Night, and I thought it was just speculation. I thought it was just a pie-in-the-sky dream, and I thought it was going to be something else. But literally just announced moments ago, we now have our official third wave of DLC coming straight to the indie hit Gigabash. And we just gotta play the trailer. We gotta run it back. Hold on, we gotta go. Ooh, baby. Okay, so we're gonna run it back here a little bit. I'm gonna run it at a really super slow speed. This is analysis goggles coming right on. This is the first time I've ever gone frame by frame for an all-night video. But, so, previously in these Gigabash teasers, there's always like a really good signifier of exactly what character they are referring to here. Now, the release date for the DLC is May 16th, 2024. So we still have a little under a month here until the DLC drops. But our first teaser is very clear as to who it is. In case the lightning bolts striking in the background and the lightning bolt striking up front is not an indicator enough for you, double check the name of the DLC. It is referred to as the Nemesis DLC. One major critique that I think a lot of folks had with the first Godzilla wave of DLC was one specific monster in the Godzilla lore that is commonly referred to as his arch nemesis, the one monster that always comes back to get him. And it's this beautiful golden baby boy right here. King Ghidorah is absolutely a lock for the second wave of Godzilla DLC coming to Gigabash. I think it is long enough that King Ghidorah finally gets his spotlight in a fighting game again, and the fact that it's Gigabash is so dope to me. Now, I'm a Destroya stan. I love Destroya more than I love King Ghidorah, but even I recognize game when I see game, and Ghidorah got game. There's a reason why he was chosen for King of the Monsters as the big bad. The guy has aura. But if it's not evident at this point, Gigabash DLC very frequently comes with 4 total fighters, not just one. Unless, I don't know, they just want to plop King Ghidorah as a single fighter for like $2. I mean, sure, you know, cool. But we have an entire month to drive up hype for this game. I would be remiss if Passion Republic is not going to add 4 total monsters to this wave of DLC. So here's where we get a speculating. The Godzilla roster as a whole has a lot of baddies, and I think that there's a lot of really good choices we can choose from here based off of pre-existing evidence for both that teaser and the DLC coming out. My first pick here is actually Orga. Now, Orga may feel like a left field choice depending on who you are, but in my opinion, Orga represents the dawn of the Millennium era in terms of Godzilla villains. Obviously being the main villain of Godzilla 2000, and Orga has been a very popular character in the Pipeworks games. Orga was there since day one in Destroy All Monsters, and it was in every single Pipeworks game after. And again, I do really like the way Passion Republic styles their DLC roster in that they want to have all major eras represented here, and I think Orga would make a fantastic addition and representative for the Millennium era. Jury's still out on what era that Ghidorah could represent. Could it be the Monsterverse version? Could it be the classic Showa version? Could it be the Heisei version? You technically have all major eras of Godzilla to choose when it comes to King Ghidorah, so I'm still not sure what era he will rep. Next up on my list is another classic and popular Godzilla baddie, Biollante. Biollante, I think, would lend credence to a much more unique fighter in the Gigabash world, given that she is a massive plant monster. I think having a massive fighter like this as a heavyweight in Gigabash, while also having really weird kind of area of effect plant attacks, could be really cool. We do already have a plant-based monster in the Gigabash roster, so I don't know if Biollante would be stealing her thunder in any way. But at the same time, Biollante is a very classic Godzilla villain, and I think the nemesis aspect here comes down to what villains from the Godzilla lore are actual counterparts to Godzilla, which ones are actually proper rivals as opposed to just villain monsters that he has fought. which is why I hate to break it to you, Megalon fans, but I don't think it's his time. I don't think it's his time. I'm so sorry. The next monster in my list, this is more so a pipe dream. This is pie in the sky. This is me asking very kindly to Passion Republic to please put Space Godzilla in this game. I think Space Godzilla has been done dirty by the Godzilla community in just being represented as a one-off monster that was just in one movie. But I think his comic appearances have more than made up for the fact that this guy is a raw friggin' Godzilla design. And so just, oh god, pardon me, getting a little too excited there. Space Godzilla to me, in this like really weird way, feels like Godzilla's Shadow the Hedgehog, where he's meant to be a villain, a counterpart to Godzilla that is quite literally a clone. It's in the dang name. His name is also Godzilla. But he's clearly a mutant, he's clearly a representative above what the normal Godzilla is, so I do really think that Space Godzilla could be a very good choice for the Heisei era if they don't opt for Biollante. Another option, depending on who you ask, could potentially be Mothra. And again, it depends on which lore you follow. Mothra in the Monsterverse is clearly an ally to Godzilla, but Godzilla and Mothra have thrown hands in the past. Very specifically, Mothra has thrown hands with the Big G in Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. They were not buddy-buddy in that movie. Nor in previous films. Mothra is often seen as a rival kaiju to Godzilla, basically being the yin to his yang. Where Godzilla sees balance as more so, I gotta destroy the humans at all costs, Mothra chooses the more peaceful options 9 times out of 10. So they do butt heads and are considered maybe nemeses, depending on how you look at it. And once again, with Mothra, you could choose so many eras for her design. There's Millennium, you have so many Showa appearances, and she has her own series of Heisei era films that you can pick from. So again, you got your pick of the litter with Mothra potentially as another combatant that they can add. Now it's time for the miscellaneous category. This is also a pie in the sky dream for myself. Monster X, my boy. I don't think Final Wars gets enough love as it should be. It is borderline the greatest film ever put to cinema, and I mean that with my whole chest. And I think Monster X could stand to be a much more unique monster design for Gigabash, that he is both a kind of more bestial kaiju, but also a biped with a slightly more human design. And he could fill in both the role of being Monster X and being King Ghidorah. Maybe have him have a super where he transforms into Death Ghidorah for a very short period of time. Again, that's very speculative. It's very speculative. I think at this stage we are more likely going to get classic King Ghidorah over Monster X. But man, a boy can dream. And then I got to thinking way too hard, and I was like, May 16th, that date almost comes out of nowhere. And I had to dig deeper. I had to dig deeper and think, like, could we think of something out of the box here? And then it hit me. A quick Google search for the date May 16th and correlating with Godzilla lines up with the US release of the original Monsterverse Godzilla film from 2014. Now, clearly Monsterverse Goji is probably not going to appear in this DLC. If the name is true, we're talking about nemesis to Godzilla, not Godzilla himself. So, the villain of the 2014 Godzilla film was, of course, the Mutos. I think the Mutos could be a really weirdly strong pick here. I think they could be cool. I mean, I've never been, like, too privy to the Muto design. I used to think that they kind of just looked like generic bugs. But they've grown on me over time, and I think that either the male or female version could probably stand to be included here. Probably the female version. She's the much larger, more terrifying version in the film. So, probably that one. But wouldn't it be so ironic that our first introduction to the Monsterverse in Gigabash is the Mutos, as opposed to, like, evolved Godzilla or something to that effect? It's wild, it's crazy, a man can dream once again. The future of Godzilla gaming looks bright. I know in my last video I mentioned the Monsterverse game that's in development that might not necessarily be a fighting game. And that might just be the truth of it moving forward. But if Gigabash in its own way turns into a pipeline for Toho to have Godzilla monsters in a fighting game without actually having to make a fighting game themselves, I think that's a happy medium that everyone can get along with at the end of the day. So the fact that we are getting a second wave of Godzilla DLC, I honestly thought it was GAMERA. I seriously thought GAMERA was up next. Poor Turtle Boy's gotta wait another day. But with a second wave of Godzilla DLC underway, and with just a little under a month to wait until that DLC drops, speculation and hype are going to be at an all-time high. And rest assured that your boy is going to be right here to hype along with you every step of the way. But that's all I got to say today about the Godzilla DLC number 2 coming to Gigabash. What do you think about it? What are your wishes for Godzilla villains coming to Gigabash? What are your hopes for potential monsters they could add? Comment down below and let me know. But as always, that's all I got to say here today. Make sure you like the video, show the algorithm some love, subscribe for more content, and as always, I've been your host all night. And do not forget to stay loved, keep loving, and have a wonderful night.